Can Paul Pogba play under Ralf Rangnick? We'll be looking at Rangnick's style and demands and whether Paul Pogba can match those demands in what seems to be the last 6 months of his Manchester United career. Let's have a look. So for the last 5.5 years, we have had to talk about the form and future of Paul Pogba. The excitement and potential of Paul Pogba's return to Manchester United has calcified over years of inconsistent performances from both Paul and Manchester United, Mino Raiola talking crap every 2 seconds, and a sort of over-egged pseudo-outrage at anything from Paul Pogba wanting to leave Manchester United and dancing at his brother's wedding. It has not been a happy story at Manchester United for Paul Pogba. One thing is for certain, however, whether it's on the field or off it, whether it's positive or negative, Paul Pogba has barely been out of the limelight in his now decade-long association with Manchester United. And now, with the arrival of Ralf Rangnick at Manchester United and Paul Pogba entering the last 6 months of his contract, we have entered a new and potentially final chapter. But how does Paul Pogba fit into Ralf Rangnick's style? Does he fit into Ralf Rangnick's style? Let's find out. Right, so the first question is, does he press? Now, there's more to Ralf Rangnick's systems than just run after the ball as fast as you can, but we all know the gegenpress master is going to want his midfielders to push the opposition. And surprisingly, the answer to that question is yes, he can press. Even before Ralf Rangnick arrived, Paul Pogba recorded the second most average presses per game in the Manchester United squad. Who's first on the list? No surprises, it is Fred, but Paul Pogba comes in at a surprising second on that list. Now that's ahead of McTominay, that's ahead of Sancho, that's ahead of Bruno, players who you may think are more prone, more keen, more used to pressing the opposition. Paul Pogba actually tops all of them. The problem occurs, however, when you look at his defensive work. You look at Ralf Rangnick's system, playing that 4-2-2-2, he's either going to be playing as a wide number 10 or as a number 6. We need to work out where Paul Pogba fits in this system. Let's firstly have a look at his potential alongside Fred in that deeper number 6 role. Now you look defensively, and this is where Paul Pogba is at his weakest. Despite being second in the Manchester United squad, compared to other midfielders in the top 5 leagues, Paul Pogba is only in the 23rd percentile for pressures amongst those players. Now that means 77% of midfielders press more than Paul Pogba. That is not good enough if you are playing in one of those deeper positions. You also look at tackles, again, only in the 25th percentile, 75% tackle more than him, and interceptions, he is at a mediocre 40th percentile. Now if you compare that to the players he will supposedly be replacing in those deeper positions, it does not compare. Yes, he's got slightly higher pressures than Scott McTominay, but his tackles are much lower and his interceptions aren't even on the same planet. Scott McTominay in the 84th percentile. If you want to start talking about Fred, there is no comparison defensively. Fred's pressures in the 94th percentile, ridiculous. Tackles, 88th percentile, ridiculous. And interceptions right up there with Scott McTominay in the 84th as well. Paul Pogba is not a patch on either of those two players when it specifically comes to off-the-ball defensive work. Now, you look at him on the ball and the picture changes dramatically. This is where Paul Pogba is elite. Arguably the best in the league, certainly the best at Manchester United. On the ball, his progressive passes, progressive carries, dribbles, touches, and progressive passes received are the highest of anyone in the squad. He doesn't have the assists, he doesn't have the goals of Sancho and Bruno, certainly in recent seasons, but on the ball, he is a genius. And I think this is where the problem comes with Paul Pogba, because we know he's so talented, we know he can do those things, and it's not just talent for the sake of it. He does these things, he has the stats to back it up. On the ball, he's brilliant. He has an incredible passing range. He has incredible vision. He has incredible strength, dribbling, an eye for a pass. He has all of those things in spades, but it's when he's not on the ball that we see these problems with Paul Pogba. And that's the next step of this. Can he take one of those number 10 roles away from currently Bruno Fernandes and Jadon Sancho? Well, the problem is he simply does not get the numbers. Yes, he got 7 assists in his first 4 Premier League games, but generally speaking, he's averaging 5 or less assists per season in the league since he rejoined Manchester United. That just does not compare to Bruno Fernandes and Jadon Sancho in recent seasons. Again, the goal output isn't there. He's averaging less than 10 goals a season. Again, far less than Sancho and Bruno Fernandes. So where does he get in this team? That is a big question that needs to be answered. Now, there are some things that can't be quantified with stats. You watch Scott McTominay play, you watch Paul Pogba play, you see the things that Pogba's won. He's used to winning trophies. He's used to seeing teams being taken over the line. He did it for us in the Europa League final, scoring a goal in that game. Sometimes you have to say, yes, I know the stats say this, But under the right management, under the right coaching, he can change his game slightly and be fitted in to a new system. That's the thing we can't forget, is that Ralf Rangnick isn't just picking the best players for his system already. Hopefully, he can bring players in and adapt their skills to suit his system. Hopefully, we can see a different Paul Pogba. And admittedly, it might only be for 6 months, but we've got to hope we can get the best out of Paul Pogba while he's still here. Now, off the field is another question entirely. Ralf Rangnick has spoken recently about Paul Pogba, about him rehabbing his injury in Dubai. He isn't happy with players not staying in Manchester during injuries, but that decision was made before Rangnick got in. Pogba was already out, so you can't necessarily blame him for that. If he was allowed to do it, he was allowed to do it. The other problem is his contract, and we've referenced it 3 or 4 times in this video. He's got 6 months left. He can start negotiating with other clubs in January. He can sign a pre-contract agreement in January, and Ralf Rangnick had this to say. He said, "I wouldn't say he's not worth keeping, but players have to want to play for a big club like Manchester United. If a player does not want to play for Manchester United in the medium or long term, I don't think it makes sense to convince him to change his mind. But let's wait and see. I've spoken to him for 15 minutes over the phone a few days ago. Let's have him come back, get fit, train with the team, and see where we stand, how the team has developed by then." Rangnick clearly isn't happy with Paul Pogba. He's not happy with the fact that he's holding up in contract negotiations. He's not happy with the fact that he's rehabbing his injury in Dubai. He's not happy with the fact that the club has tried to tease him and tempt him to stay, with seemingly no agreement on the horizon between all parties. This is a tough one for me, and it feels as though it might be the time we finally say goodbye to Paul Pogba. And this has been not just 5, but 10 years in the making. It's been a turbulent and difficult time for Paul Pogba at Manchester United. And whilst I can see the asset that he is, I can see the qualities that he has, you look through the stats, I'm not certain that Ralf Rangnick will be able to find a place for him in this Manchester United squad. I hope he does. I hope we can see some form. I hope he can turn things around. And hopefully that can be the catalyst for a longer career at Manchester United in a pivotal role in Ralf Rangnick's team, whether that be over the next 2 years in his consultancy role or even just in the short term 6 months. Paul Pogba's got to do this now. If it's ever going to work, it has to happen now, because he's gone at the end of the season, if not. Right, let me know your thoughts on Paul Pogba. Can he make his way back into this team? The other question is, does Rangnick even want him in this team? You see the comments, there's so far nothing good has been said about Paul Pogba from Ralf Rangnick. It's not been scathing, it's not been rude, it's not been unkind, but there's no leeway given to a player that doesn't want to sign a contract for Manchester United. Rangnick says, if you don't want to stay, then you can go, and that applies to everyone. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Can he turn it around? Can he find a place next to Fred in that team, maybe even next to McTominay, or further up in one of those number 10 positions? Let me know, and please subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Thanks for watching.